What's up, everybody? Fortexfiend here, and welcome back again to my channel with some more content on SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, where we're going to ask the question, should you be pulling for the new upcoming URs featuring Gundam X? Now, I'm going to be changing the format of how I do these, because usually what I'll do is I'll make like a reaction video to the trailer, and then afterwards I'll be making a should you pull video. However, recently they've been starting to release not only the trailer, but also the actual information for these units. So you know what? Might as well just combine everything into one video for you guys to watch and enjoy. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the reaction, and then afterwards we're going to get going with taking a look at the information they gave us. So here we go. Let's check this out. There's Garrod, and there's the Double X. Look clean. That design is clean. And it looks to be a ranged unit? Probably going to be a ranged unit, a ranged specialty unit. Possibly one that could even contend with the Hainu, because the Hainu is still really, really good. Dang, that laser beam is huge. All right, so Gundam Double X is a limited time attacker type unit, and we also got Garrod ran as the limited time attacker pilot. So that's going to be our limited unit for this one. Pretty cool. I like it. All right, so another Gundam X unit. I believe this one is the Virsago. I haven't watched the anime myself. I do plan on it eventually. But okay, so we got Gundam Virsago Chest Break. This is a non-limited UR unit, and it is a supporter. And then we got Shagia Frost. Is that how you say his name? I'm just going to assume that's how you say it. But this also looks pretty sick, and it looks like there's two. It looks like there's another unit that like assists him. And then I like the design. I like the, what do you call it? This deep red design that they have on it. It looks really cool. These designs are pretty awesome. Okay, so there is the warship. Again, I'm unfamiliar with who this is. I'll probably just look it up. But I'm assuming this is going to be related to Gundam X. Let's check out the Double X just one more time. That's huge. It literally reminds me of like a Shinku Hadoken or like a Kamehameha. Just the width of that beam. Look at that. Doesn't that remind you of like a Shinku Hadoken or a Kamehameha? To me, it does. But yeah, that's going to be the units, guys, and that's going to be the trailer. You can also check it out on the SD Gundam Eternal's official X page. I always leave those links down in the video description as well as the pinned comments. But okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward here, and we're going to take a look at the information and asking the question, should you be pulling for these units? I'm going to go ahead and just, increase the size right here so you guys can see it. So we have the Gundam Double X. The custom weapon that they're featuring is the Twin Satellite Cannon EX. So it comes with a map weapon that attacks in a wide range and provides a greater weapon power the higher the MP. So this is going to be another kind of a unit where it's all about like that, that first turn or early turn burst damage that you could deal. And with a map weapon, you could just imagine how much damage it's going to deal. We've already seen some really good map weapons. Even the Hainu has one. So let's see if this one actually can contend with that. And then it also has an EX weapon that provides a greater weapon power, and it increases the farther from its enemy. So it's, again, like I said, looks to be a range type DPS unit, very similar to Hainu, and it also has an ability that increases its movement by 1 when Vigor is supercharged or higher. So gets more movement, which is good. That way positioning is going to be easier for it, and you can also really capitalize on the increased damage the farther this unit is from an enemy. So we got a pretty powerful contender here for a range DPS, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Garrod. So he has a character skill that can be used without consuming energy or map weapons remaining ammo. Whoa, that's cool. So he can use he can use that map weapon. I'm assuming it's only going to have 1 ammo, but he could use it twice because he gets to use it for free. Now that's unique and that's really cool. And I'm already thinking of like some ways to like creatively use him in like other units that have like a map weapon. Like for example, Anibal Gato's GPO-2A, that one, because we know that unit has a nuke. Wow, that skill is really cool. And then he also has an ability that increases MP by 6, increases damage dealt to enemies by 15% and reduces damage taken by 15% when he's piloting a unit with the flash system tag. So this one is tag based, which I'm assuming that's going to be a lot of the Gundam X related type units. So he doesn't have to really pilot his own unless that tag is only applicable to his double X unit, which I think is really, really awesome. So wow, that's pretty cool. The only thing that he's lacking is the double chance step, but as we've seen before, that's not nearly as necessary as we've seen with other like attacker pilots that don't have it. For example, Domon Kashu with the Burning Gundam. We've seen just how powerful he is. Who else? Shin Asuka, the attacker one that has that broken passive that they decided not to fix, doesn't have double chance step. So right now, double chance step, I think it's more of like icing on the cake, but we seeing skills like this is really, really cool. Skills and passives, in my opinion. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing with this attacker pilot, and I think that him and his unit are going to be giving the Hainu Gundam, for example, a run for its money, because Hainu right now, to me, is still the best range unit out there. Okay, so now we have the Gundam Virsago chest break. So this one comes with an EX weapon that increases the damage enemies take from beam weapons by 25%. Okay, we've seen that before. And it also has a map weapon that increases the damage enemies take from special weapons by 15%. So he has a AoE debuff right there. And I'm assuming those percentages go up as at level 5. So this is probably just the level 1 percentages that are being displayed here. Pretty standard. We've seen this before. So this one, I'd say it's nothing to write home about. Again, we've seen something similar before, but let's take a look at the pilot. So the pilot has a support attack and counter up to 2 times. That's always nice to have on a supporter pilot, and has an ability that increases own range and melee by 20%. Okay, that's nice. And then also has a character skill that increases. Okay, so he has sway. They don't say which one it is on this slide. I'm gonna assume it's sway level 1. If it's level 2, that'd be great. But I'm thinking it's probably a sway level 1. But this one, for a non-limited, I'd say it's, you know, middle of the road kind of a thing. We've already seen some really powerful supporter pilots and supporter units, so I would say this one is probably it's mid to me. I think the prize so far is definitely Double X and Garrod. And then finally we got the UR supporter. So this one is not a limited time supporter. So we got Jamil and the Freeden 2. So it affects the Freeden tag, and also After War Gundam X series. So it increases stats by 20% for the After War Gundam X series units, and then it's 30% for After War Gundam X series units bearing the Freeden tag. And it also has HP restoration. So I'd say for a non-limited, that's actually a solid ship. And we tend to prefer HP restoration nowadays until they start coming out with content where energy starts to become like more needed. I'd say this one is actually pretty solid for a non-limited type ship. But I wouldn't go out of my way chasing it unless you're just a huge fan of Gundam X, in my opinion. But for a non-limited, like I said, it's pretty solid. So now that we've seen what these units can potentially bring with the teasers, should you be pulling on these banners? So we know that this is a limited time unit. So if you decide to pass on Gundam Double X, you're going to have to wait for this unit to come out. And if any of these are your favorites, you know that you're already going to be pulling. However, from a free-to-play standpoint, or from those who don't really spend a lot, I would, here's the thing. If you already have a unit like Hainu Gundam, which is slightly similar to what Gundam Double X seems to be able to do, I would probably pass on this. Now, I know that this is the first time that we're getting any type of UR units for Gundam Double X, or Gundam X, excuse me. So that could be the incentive right there for you to try to pull for this unit. But for me, especially, I'm just going to be relying on the development units that we're going to be getting, because we're going to be getting, more content for Gundam X. So we'll have there's probably going to be a Gundam Double X development SSR that's, going to be pretty good. Not as good as the UR, obviously, but something that can get us through content. And as we've seen, you can clear content just fine with just free-to-play units alone. You do have to work a little harder, but that's the beauty of this game, is that you don't necessarily have to pull on every single banner. And for me personally, I'm going to be waiting until Anniversary to really spend my diamonds, because I'm speculating they're going to be doing something big for that. But for those of you that are a fan of Gundam X and Double X, I would definitely throw some diamonds at this, and it's definitely a good unit. It is a very good unit, and like I said, it's giving me Hainu Gundam vibes because it's focused on range damage, and it also does have a map attack. And the pilot has that unique skill where he can essentially use a map weapon for free. so he can use a map weapon more than once, which I think is awesome. But you guys let me know down below in the comment section, what are you guys going to be doing for this banner? Are you going to be planning on pulling? What value do you see that these units and pilots potentially bring? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and stay blessed, everybody.